Cool. So, season 2, episode 1. I think, we're just going to break down the story where we're at.
So far.
Yeah, the story so far. How about a quick recap?
Okay, awesome. So, where we are is a couple of weeks ago, we had 20 million people in South Africa living below the poverty line. And we had about 16 million people on social grants. We now have 30 million people who are going to be living below the poverty line and 22 million people on social grants. We're looking at negative economic growth of around 15%. We're talking about 1 million people, new people unemployed. We're talking about a job market in certain industries that's not going to recover for months. So this is posing a challenge. It's obviously not unique to South Africa. It's challenging economists and regulators and treasurers, etc., bankers across the world to figure out a way to manage a way through this crisis, because we live in a world where everybody was living on the edge, in debt. No one could survive 1 month.
Paycheck to paycheck.
80% of Americans paycheck to paycheck.
And some of the large corporations live 2 weeks by 2 weeks, right?
You know, not only large corporations, small businesses, particularly. The large corporations, a lot of them have done share buybacks and paid out dividends and stripped money out companies. So you're seeing airlines collapsing that shouldn't have. But the real challenge is for the smaller businesses who they're basically lifestyle businesses, subsistence businesses. People are living off the profits. It's those businesses that are largely uncatered for in all the remedial action, all the relief efforts. It's the hardest market to get to. So, the banks, it's easy. They can do one thing and all the banks can do what needs to happen. Big businesses are easy to get to. Unemployed people who were working are easy to get to because they've been paying UIF. But the informal sector, small businesses, people who are self-employed, that whole entrepreneurial heart of any economy, that has not been catered for. There's no compensation, there's no relief for that sector of the market, and we don't address it, it's going to be a calamity. So what that's done is it now takes all the tools that we've been working on for the last 10 years, and it's taken it from something that was urgent to something that's critical. I've been predicting this trend. I've been predicting where we would land up for the last 10 years. And I've been watching us slowly slide there with increasing velocity. We just slid. Okay, we just went.
The crisis is a shortcut to the future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So now I feel it's time for ideas that for us is about the tools, the approach. Now's the time, because I'm going to say it, and that it's going to be progressively worse.
Yes.
The relief that we're seeing now is nowhere near what's required, and to be able to provide it. The whole trick is this. And this is where government has to be responsible, and where one has to be grown up about it. You can't take money and give it to people who are going to waste it, because that is going to affect the value of the currency.
Yes.
If the money that gets pumped in to help the economies if it gets wasted, stolen, misappropriated, spent inefficiently, it's going to bring the whole country down. And the money that we're borrowing to fund this, if we're doing it in dollars and our exchange rate continues to slide, we're even deeper in the hole. So we're on the precipice here of a really slippery slope. So it's now's the time to implement a model that's smarter, that's better designed, uses state-of-the-art technology, and revolutionizes and disrupts a whole lot of stuff. Yes, it does. I'm going to say it. I'm not apologizing anymore. I'm not. I'm not. You know what? Your way doesn't work. I don't care that it's proven. It's proven not to work. Okay. Congratulations. Okay. Ours is not proven, but the model works and the principles are just and it's sustainable. And we've tested every single bit of it in the field multiple times. So now's the chance to give it a chance to work. And yes, we'll refine it as we go. And the best way to do that is to get more and more of the community to participate in the process, which we've been doing. So what is this thing that I speak of?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about
what is the given now?
Model.
Okay, this is where we are, and everyone must get over it. We have free banking and interest-free lending available on a digital platform that uses mobile phones and cards, uses blockchain technology, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, a whole bunch of tools that increase all the time because it's designed for the cloud computing era. So it's designed with APIs and things plug into each other. And we don't develop technology, we integrate. And that's what allows us to be agile. And what we have is a cooperative platform that can finance small businesses on a sustainable basis. That can make profits for investors and help businesses grow their profits and does so in an ethical manner that is ethical and sustainable and is going to lead to the democratization of access to capital, which is what I believe the fourth industrial revolution, when they look back in a couple of years' time and say, what was that revolution? What was it really about? It was about the democratization of capital. And with blockchain technology and distributed ledgers, what we can do is we can make liquidity available to the man in the street, because what's going on now is that they can create liquidity for the banks and they can help their balance sheet and they can bail out an airline and they can bail out Eskom and they can bail out auto industries, and because they can get their money back.
Yes.
Because when it comes to lending, if you lose the capital, what do? You depreciate the value of the money. So if we do lending where we don't get the money back, then it's going to depreciate the value of money for everybody. That's why the banks, central banks, are touchy about it.
For sure. So
but with our model, we get the money back through collecting the 3% of their turnover. So it generates a sustainable revenue stream for that investment. So that's the beauty, you see. So because of our technology, we're able to collect that money at source because we're using our blockchain.
From the man on the street.
From the business that we lend the money to. We take 3% of their turnover to repay the loan. So we put whatever liquidity in that we need, and we'll collect that 3%. It might take 10 years to get the money back, but we'll get it back. You can finance that. The problem is when you put money in, then you never get it back. And that's the problem with our social grant system. We've spent over R1 trillion. We're now going to spend well over R1 trillion in the next 5 years. And that's money that we're eating, right? There's no investment there. We've got to stop doing that. We've got to leverage, take on a bit of debt to finance some stuff, and we'll repay it over time. And now we have the ability to harness that money, because at the moment that's all happening in the cash economy.
Yes.
So that within the cash economy, it's impossible to collect your 3%. So if we give that sector of the economy cash, we'll never see it again. We'll never be able to collect it. Most of them are not paying value-added tax. Most of them will not be paying income tax. So there's no way for the governments to get that investment back. Whereas with all these other things, the reason why they do it is because in the long term, they'll get the money back. It's about a long-term thing. All this money is a paper money that just says, well, if we all wait, then nobody loses real money. It's all just paper. But we're leaving that sector behind. With what we're doing, we've got a solution to bring that sector, not only to address the COVID thing, but now's the time that we were planning on launching now anyway, before COVID.
Yes.
So we're still going to get that benefit of what we were planning, but it gives us the opportunity to use this disaster to fast track those plans, and maybe what was going to take 5 years needs to happen in a year now, because we just have to. So that's where we are, ready to go. We've got the right partners, got the right ecosystem. The regulatory framework has been written down, finalized, and is being shared with the ecosystem. We've got the customers ready to go. We've got what we need. It's time to go.
Cool. Tell me a little bit about the partners, because that's how we sort of achieve the scale, thanks to like the likes of Eccentric and such. Just
so the key to a two-sided market like payments is scale. The hardest thing to get, because you have to get it quickly. You can't get it incrementally. So to do that, you need to have a strategy where you can get a whole lot of people lined up, waiting at the door, ready to go. But then from a technology point of view, you need to kind of have the infrastructure where we're going to need a team of 200 people running the platform. So how do we go from a team of essentially 6 full-time people to 200 in 6 to 9 months? Well, the answer is, if you do that yourself, you're not gonna. It's possible to hire that many people, coordinate the teams, build a.
Sure.
It takes years to put that in place. What you need partners who have that capability, that infrastructure, who can do it. So Eccentric is our key go-to-market partner from a technology point of view, because they have 200 people, and they have the infrastructure. They do it for many banks, retailers. They're doing the switching. So they have the infrastructure and the customer base to offset it. They do billions of transactions a day. But not only that, they also have an amazing footprint at virtually every big box retailer in South Africa. So with their OmniSwitch technology, we're able to easily turn a big box retailer onto switching our cards and our phones, which means that we can quickly get a footprint where people can use their cards, and that's a big thing to overcome. So that's not a small advantage that we have.
What sort of big box retailers?
So I mean, they do work with every single one, but I know that they do the payment switching for Massmart. They do work for the money transfers for ShopRite, payments for Sheeny, Pep, Ackermans. You name it.
Even Woolworths, I think.
Woolworths. I mean, they if they're not doing their switching, they're doing their recons, and they really are.
So basically,
when in that space,
when we go live, people can download the app, link their card if they want a card, and be able to go and transact at all those big box retailers. Well,
the thing is that the big box retailers can accept the card. It's up to them to just sign up with Eccentric for that. There's some work that has to happen on their side, but Eccentric handle that with their IT teams.
Okay.
So it's, they do it all the time. So there's a little bit of integration that's required but it is a very little bit, and Eccentric are the experts at it. So that was a barrier in the past. So partnering with them has got around that.
Yeah.
How do you get to the market?
I think in a future episode we'll get Paul on. We can do like a tech review, get him to talk about it
and their capability,
and we'll expand on that a little bit.
A great bunch of people being supportive, and are also doing some really cool things, and bring a lot of value added technology to our customer base. They'll be great partners, and we've been working on some stuff with them in the States as well. And
cool.
More on that soon too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's tons to talk about. I mean, this is just a recap episode.
I feel like I've relived the last, what was that, a week?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, how exactly do you think FORUS will address the current COVID crisis? What's the difference between what they're proposing to utilize now as opposed to what we've got?
Well, I think that what we need to do is we need to utilize the money that they have now more effectively, and we need to leverage it. And we also need to raise some more money from other sources to augment what's going into the informal sector. So this is really a public-private partnership, the way that I see it, where we need private business to help roll it out. But we need government involvement to help, because there's also an opportunity to help regulate the informal sector now and to get people registered as hawkers and to, start to collect data. Because I think that's a very important part of what we can do to beat this COVID challenge, is utilize data to make smart decisions about optimizing the supply chain so we have food in the right places where people need it when they need it. Can you imagine if all the SASA grant recipients were spending their money on a digital platform and we could track what they're buying, what their needs are? We could then start to bulk buy, plan it. We could probably cut the costs in our estimation of a basket size in that sector of the market by 20%. What a difference is that going to make? And, those are just some of the benefits. So it's also, we need to utilize this opportunity to get South Africa onto the digital bandwagon. We're not there. And let's use this crisis. We're talking about spending hundreds of billions in relief efforts. Please can we spend a few million and build some infrastructure to create a banking platform that works for everybody? Please can we utilize this opportunity? Because if we have to distribute the money, let's not distribute it on old technology and old platforms with the old players and just spend more money without investing some money in new infrastructure and a blockchain-based platform. Please, we cannot miss this opportunity.